The government has initiated major reforms at the Kenya Bureau of Standards in a bid to streamline the operations of KEBs. Where are we in terms of this reform agenda? Joining us this week on Inside Government, we are talking to Lieutenant Retired Colonel Bernard Njiraini. He's the Managing Director of KEBs. Our conversation will revolve around reforms at KEB, the achievements, the successes, and of course the failures and the way forward. Thank you very much indeed, Bona MD, for finding time to be with us here. You've been at the helm of KEBs now for the last 3 years. I mean, you are headhunted from the military. How did you find the working culture here at KEBs?
Thank you very much, O'Brien, for inviting us and coming here to KEBs. It's a great opportunity for us to engage and get an opportunity to educate our viewers on the mandate of Kenya Bureau of Standards in terms of development of standards, in terms of also conformity assessment and metrology. I would like to say that maybe before even I give my answer as regards to how I find the environment here, I would like to say that Kenya Bureau of Standards is established under the laws of Kenya, CAP 496, and the mandate is development of standards. And the standards, as you understand, are documents that give specifications, guidelines, characteristics of products and processes and services. And they form the basis for mutual understanding. They facilitate communication. And therefore, they are very important tools for us to be able to facilitate trade. The other role that we also play is metrology, which is science of measurement, in terms of ensuring that equipment, gauges are well calibrated. And the last one is inspection, that what we call conformity assessment. When products are coming into the country, we do inspection and ascertain they meet the standards requirements. Also, these that are manufactured within the country are also inspected. We give them a permit and they are able to carry on with the work. So when I came here at Kenya Bureau of Standards, professionally, I'm a mechanical engineer. I did my undergraduate here in local university and postgraduate also here in local university. And I have worked before in the manufacturing sector. I have worked in construction industry, and I have worked in Kenya Defence Forces for 18 years. Therefore, when I joined in, I knew the task that was ahead of me in terms of ensuring protecting safety and health of consumers, ensuring everybody does his work properly.
When you joined this company or this institution back in 2019, I mean, there was a serious leadership challenge at this institution. Have you managed to deal with this?
Yes, I would say that when I joined Kenya Bureau of Standards, it was undergoing turbulent moments because previously there, in general in the country we had issues in terms of influx of substandard products. Mm-hmm. And the government decided that there is no other way we can be able to promote the Big Four agenda, specifically manufacturing, universal health care, affordable housing and food security, without addressing the issue of substandard product. And therefore the management that was there had to deal with or to be enjoined in the MATI agency in dealing with all these substandard products that were within the country. And that created a management crisis because, of course, when your boss tells you that, you've not been doing a good job because there's influx of this substandard product, there was a lot of interventions from other authorities, including DCI, EACC. Mm-hmm. A lot of issues were here. So quite a number of staff were actually charged and interdicted. And when I came on board, I was assured by the National Standard Council, and that is the board that manages is the board equivalent of the board that manages KEBs. They assured me...
It's the board that is in charge of policy formulation.
So they assured me of support, and they have given me the support. I have also been able to inspire the management of this organization to deliver the services as guided by the National Standard Council Strategic Plan in their vision.
The influx of fake product into the countries had somehow tainted the image of Kenya Bureau of Standards, especially after there were revelations that some employees of KEBs were facilitating the importation of substandard goods into the country. What are you doing to ensure that the confidence that the public had erstwhile, is reinstated?
When it comes to the influx of, substandard product, we have put measures, and we have 3 layered processes to ensure these products do not come into the country. When we source these goods from overseas, they are inspected, tested, and issued with certificate of conformity by our third-party partners. And these are, internationally recognized inspection bodies that do issue certificates. And as they come into the country, again, we have at the border points, a risk-based random sampling of this product. Test them, and if they comply, we allow them into the market. As they are again in the market, we go to the market, supermarkets, stores, and pick, and we submit to our laboratories. And when we test, if they comply, again, we have no issues. But I would say the question you have asked is how we were able to deal, or how we are dealing with integrity issues. I would like to say that we have mechanisms to ensure that we take disciplinary actions against any of the officers that would compromise on the quality of the product. I would want to admit to some extent that some importers of various consignments that come into the country would want to try to play games. We are not able to do 100% sampling. Once in a while you find a product that is not conforming, but we have mechanisms to be able to get rid of this. So I have been able to talk to my people, let them understand that one of our primary objectives is to protect safety and health of consumers, because you do not know, you, Brian, whether it is your mother, you're working in KEBs, whether it is your mother or your grandparent who is going to take this product. So the culture that we are trying to develop here is to inculcate the culture of quality, because as a country we can not be able to develop when we have influx of substandard product, creating unfair trade practices. And they have been able to accept that the only way we'll be able to achieve a lot together is to try to enforce the standards the way they are. That is what we've been trying to do to achieve, and the rates of compliance has been improving, and we can say we are operating at a very good level.
When you were appointed into this position, you came at a time when the military was somehow taking a charge of various institutions in the country in a bid to streamline them. We had the Kenya Meat Commission, we had the NMS, that is in charge of managing some operations of Nairobi County. 3 years down the line, what would you say has been your biggest achievement yet?
I want to say that I'm very proud to have worked in KDF, and the culture there really has taught me a lot. And when I joined Kenya Bureau of Standards, I would say in terms of mental ability, understanding that there's no difference between security and also quality, because here we are trying to control the quality of products that are going to be consumed, not only by even ordinary citizens, but also even soldiers. So this work that I'm doing here actually is basically also security in nature. So I would say when I joined here, I had to set my objectives very clear, that we are going to follow procedures. Anybody who is bringing consignment must meet the requirement based on Kenyan or any other specifications that are acceptable. If it is not, and we get it in the market, Of course, we start the process of confiscating this product. And you have seen, we have been out there withdrawing the permit for quite a number of manufacturers that are not meeting the requirement. I would say that one of the biggest achievements that I've been able to achieve here is to enforce compliance to standards. We have also been able to open the standard making process, where now initially the standard making process used to be done by a group of people. What we did is to open up the standard making process so that we include more public participation in the standard making process, because standards are very important. You need all the stakeholders. KEBs actually do provide the secretariat and the technical background, but the standards are also formulated by the stakeholders who agree on parameters. If, for example, it's a mask, the medical grade mask that we're using, it has quite a number of parameters in terms of dimensions, in terms of materials, in terms of the filtration efficacy that should be achieved, the strap strength. All this is done by a team of, for example, from Kenyatta National Hospital, from KEMSA, from KEMRI, Pharmacy Poisons Board, universities, research organizations. They all join hands to make these standards. Initially, when we came here, it was not done in an open way. So we have opened up this process in line with good, standardization plan, and that is what is also prescribed by the International Organization for Standardization. The other achievement we have been able to achieve is that we have also been able to allow accredited laboratories to also be undertaking tests, samples, and people can be able, the manufacturers can be able now to bring, test report from accredited laboratories that are accredited by, KENAS, and then we are able to give the permit. The other one we have been able to achieve is on automation. We have been progressing, making significant progress in terms of automation, which is reducing the human interface between how we interact. And that is one of the areas where we have seen that the best we can be able to achieve is when we have automation. We have developed certain standards that are very important I would like to mention here. One of them that has become very handy during this time of COVID is the business continuity management system, where you develop contingency plan in case of the epidemic that we had. That standard is very important. We've been able to achieve it. The other one is anti-bribery management system, where you're dealing with issues on a structured way. The standard is very important and would advise a number of organizations, both public and private, to have an uptick of these standards. The other one we have is information security management system that we've been able now to be certified, and this is by the British Standard Institute. We are very proud of those achievements. There are many other, achievements that we've done, including establishing now offices across the region. That is the decentralization of our services. We have now an office in Mombasa that is operational, and also giving services to around nine counties within that region. We have Nyeri office that is operational. We have Eldoret. We have Kisumu. And also we have Nakuru. We also have Garissa. And those offices now are, operating, reducing the turnaround time, because we used to get samples from regions. And this is improvement of service delivery to the public.
The reduction of those inspection fee, especially for importers, raised, some questions when it was effected in 2020. There was a feeling that this is likely to open a floodgate for importers of fake product. So how have you upscaled your surveillance systems to ensure that, rogue business people do not take advantage of the reduced compliance cost?
What we did is to reduce the inspection fee in case your goods were not inspected abroad. And based on our assessment, because we have operated the two systems where we had decided that everything will be inspected abroad, and then we'll get goods that are coming with a certificate of conformity, and we'll accept them into our country. And we have also run the two approaches, where if you so wish to get your goods inspected abroad, and we allow that. If you want to bring them here, we will help you inspect this, and you pay some fee. When there was the legal notice that required, legal notice 127 that required that all goods are inspected abroad, there was a major outcry from the traders that it was taking quite long. Remember, these are third partners that we have engaged. I would want to say that as much as we may want to run away from our responsibility, Kenya Bureau of Standards is the agency that is responsible for ensuring the goods coming into the country meet the requirement. And therefore, we cannot run away from building capacity within the country to undertake tests. Because in any case, even if they are inspected, tested abroad, we do sampling here to confirm that this product meets the requirement. So I think that fear that there will be a floodgate of product coming has not been seen. For the 2 years that we've operated, we have not seen influx of substandard products. And I would want to, first of all, define what is substandard, because a number of people do not understand quality. When we talk about quality, we talk about degree of excellence, fitness for use. There are a number of products that are assumed to be substandard simply because they are not as premium as others. For example, you cannot compare a certain kind of a vehicle with a very high-grade vehicle. They are both functional. They'll take you to point X, but their comfort is a bit different. You not compare a Range Rover house with a Probox, definitely. But if you buy, you have spent less money, it is going to give you the service. It's functioning well, but it's not as good. But there is an assumption that these, we talk about minimum requirements. And that is why, because the people's purchasing powers is different. So there are certain things that we allow for those that with money you bring, but we set the minimum requirement. Mm-hmm. Something that is not going to harm you in terms of the chemicals, in terms of microorganisms, whether it is meeting the nutritional requirement. But we do not limit whoever wants to buy an expensive product or a cheap product. But there's a confusion most of the time that you buy a cheap product and you expect performance to be like of the very, very high-end product. 2
years down the line since you effected the cost of destination inspection, what has been the impact, especially inspiring SMEs, trade, as well as business in this country?
I would say that from the reports that we receive, traders and importers are quite happy that sometimes when they are not able to get their goods inspected abroad, because sometimes they are not huge consignment and they do not want to take long. So that is why they consider and weigh, because they also have their own assessment. Do I get the certificate abroad? Do I come and do it locally here? We have received feedback indicating that this is a very good system, because sometimes, for example, if you are running a factory and you have a spare part that you really need critically, because it is going to stop the production line, and you're not able to get certificate very quickly abroad, you'd rather come and pay 5% of the CIF price and your production line start functioning. So if you do not have such an arrangement where you can bring and have destination inspection, of course you lose customers. You shut down your production. It becomes very expensive sometimes to even restart the line because of the power. If you consider like a cement production facility, if you shut down even 1 hour, the restarting becomes very expensive. So this is a system to facilitate trade. And we have seen a lot of good, positive aspects of destination inspection. And also, I would want to say that as a country, when we are doing inspection abroad, this is also export of foreign, earned money.
What are some of the steps that you have taken, to re-engineer the working culture of Kenya Bureau of Standards, even as a country gears towards moving to Vision 2030?
The working culture in KEBs, of course, has been one of our key focus areas. And this is in line with our strategic plan 2017-2022, specifically talked about one of the key objectives is to enhance service delivery by 10% annually. And the only way we can be able to deliver services efficiently is to meet the turnaround times in terms of ability to test the product within time. When the goods are inspected, samples are drawn, they are brought to our labs. How soon are we able to give the results? Mark you, there are certain tests that require a certain number of days, like when you need to culture some specimen. But our main focus has been to emphasize to our people that customer first. We are also trainers of total quality management, where we want to meet the customer expectations, beyond expectations actually. So our emphasis have always been to ensure that we meet our turnaround time, and we operate under the performance management system, balance scorecard, where we are able to measure the performance of our staff, whether it is analysts, inspectors, and they are rewarded based on how they perform. So the reward system is working very positively for us to be able to improve the culture. And of course, we have regular meetings, discussions, trainings on the need for our people to be able to give their best services to our citizens. Otherwise, there is no need for us to be here. And we have seen the culture has been improving. People come early for work. We have biometrics, and we are able to monitor what people are doing. And that is, giving us, a good output.
But of late, we haven't heard so much about these. Is it still ongoing, or it took a break?
Like I had said, when the government, started its term, one of the key areas was to think on the areas that there can be more impact. And the government policy, or the Big Four agenda, the manufacturing sector was highly prioritized by the government. And like I had said, it is practically impossible for us to develop this sector unless we are able to deal with contraband, substandard, counterfeit, and all these products. And therefore, there was a need to have that big impact in terms of sending the message that, yes, as a government, this country will not accept this product. They are destroying our environment. They are damaging our health. They are destroying our, commercial enterprises. And we picked up from the MAT agency. We occasionally do exercises together. Like I'll tell you, when we are trying to, regulate and control substandard product in petroleum sector, we work very closely together with the EPRA. We work very closely in terms of, eradication of, illicit brews, working closely with the NACADA. We do conduct surveillance, and we draw samples, we come here, we test, and we close those, facilities that are selling or manufacturing those products. I would say that the reforms that were instituted by government have been very productive, but what people need to understand is that the consumers need to be at the forefront in defending the government in terms of fighting substandard product. If you go to China today, which is having over 1 billion people, you will not find people in the street. Today, a very beautiful road that has been done, the Outer Ring Road. If you go and see the surface road, you will see probably young men selling second-hand clothes, trucks parked on that section of the road, and yet this is a facility to facilitate trade. And these young men, the only way we can engage them is to have them working in factories, and this cannot happen unless we are able to reduce substandard product coming into the country, creating unfair trade practices, and also endangering our lives.
But when you look at KEBs, I mean, for an institution that was established back in 1974, it has gained serious acceptance, especially in Africa, whereby it is one of the leading standards and making agency, ranked among the top 5 in Africa. But to the local small business people, I mean, to some of them, KEBs is a nuisance, that waits for you to start your business, and then they come with, standards and regulations, on how to do, things. How do you recreate that image or that perception in SME's mind?
Management of KEBs under the leadership of the National Standard Council, we have come up with micro, small, medium enterprise policy, MSME policy, where we are saying we want to facilitate trade. Because if you look at the East African community, we are 6 countries, and we have the mutual recognition of quality marks, and we harmonize standards together. And the only way we can increase our market out of Kenya is to try to sell our goods also outside, because under the EAC Common Market Protocol, we have the principles for ease of transfer and of goods, capital, and labor. If our people, the small medium enterprises, do not register with KEBs and get the permit, then they will not be able to sell their product across the border and will be disadvantaged. And that is why we are reaching out to the SMEs and have developed that policy to try to encourage them to get the, the standardization mark. What we've been doing is to reduce, without compromising, the standards. We have focused much more in terms of the product quality. Initially, based on the regulations, we had requirement that you have to have a factory. We are not focusing much. We appreciate that, yes, you need an infrastructure to produce a quality product so that you can be able to, have control measures during the production and even reception of, when you're receiving the raw materials. What we are focusing now much more, and we have seen very small, SMEs getting the permit, is the product itself. As long as we can ascertain that you have control measures to be able to sustain and produce a product consistently meeting the same requirement, and it meets the requirement when we do the test, then we issue you with a permit. And we've been working very closely with SMEs, believing that the only way out, and most of these products are coming from outside Kenya, are produced in cottage industry. So that is what we have in mind as an organization, that we must develop, nurture, incubate the SMEs to be able to develop to larger even organization. And mark you, we have also subsidized the permit fee. We only charge 5,000 to get a permit, and that is exclusive of VAT. And for big farms, we charge 20,000. Mm-hmm. So these are some of the incentives that we've given these small farms. And talking to them, the moment your product does not meet the requirement for the first time, what we request the enterprises or the SMEs is to forward another sample. We advise them on what you need to correct, and we move together with them. And quite a number of them have succeeded in this, and they are very, very, very happy and successful.
Bona MD, we have to come to the end of our first interview for this show. Otherwise, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you very much, O'Brien.
Watching this interview, and of course we have been discussing the issues of standards making and of course the reform agenda at the Kenya Bureau of Standards. This is part 1. Part 2 is coming up next on Friday next week, so stay right here. O'Brien Kimani is my name. A good afternoon.